Hey there, Pisces. This is a reading for mid-April 2022. We're going to be looking at the impact of the full moon in Libra, which occurs on April 16th or 17th, depending on where in the world you are. So we're going to see what the full moon in Libra can help you release, what it can help you embrace, and how it can prepare you as you move forward in life. And then we will get some particulars with the tarot cards. So what we have here in terms of what the full moon in Libra can help you release, you have this Dulan, inevitability. So this card here has to do with kind of like the concept of the headless horseman, and the idea is that this carriage can never stop. Everyone has to open the gates, let the carriage through. If the carriage stops, then basically someone dies. And so here it's kind of like, it's interesting because for you, Pisces, the full moon in Libra has its energy in the 8th house of transformation, which has to do with sex and death, rebirth. So we'll see if this releasing inevitability has anything to do with that. In terms of what the full moon in Libra can help you embrace, you have compassion. Be gentle with yourself. Forgiveness will set you free. See the light in yourself and others. So for some of you, perhaps there has been some upset, disappointments, fights, and holding on to kind of grudges. So here with the embracing compassion, that will hopefully make some change in a positive way. In terms of preparing you for the future, you have navigating by the stars, follow your bliss. So here it's a sense of, dreaming, sense of wonder, exploration. And it's almost as if, your card is the moon card. Usually there's a sense of fear and doubt in going down that path where there's not a lot of clarity there. But here, it's kind of trying to, it's almost like the flip side of it, where it's like there is the clarity by the light, the starlight, basically. And that following the starlight, your dreams, your hopes, that's following your bliss. So in a sense, nothing to fear in the unknown. So let's get some tarot cards on these bad boys here. Let's take a look at this releasing inevitability. You have the Queen of Wands. You have the Moon card. That's your card. And you have the Fool. So here you have two major arcana cards. I talked about, concept of the moon, and And the concept of the Fool is kind of similar to this following your bliss card, where it's a sense of approaching the world with open arms, letting, whatever happens happen, and kind of being a free spirit, letting life happen and enjoying it. The Queen of Wands, this little firecracker here, is about stepping into your power, being kind of mysterious, an energy that people are drawn to, charismatic, and really a leader in terms of, being in the spotlight, someone who, people pay attention to. So here with this releasing inevitability, it's almost as if the concept of fear. There's basically, excuse me, if we look at, the 8th house of transformation, sex, death, rebirth. Death is inevitable. And that's usually tied in with, people fear death. And with the Fool, it's a sense of having no fear. With the Queen of Wands, it's about having no fear. With the Moon, it's about tapping into those deep, hidden places where you dream, where you receive messages from your inner self, and where you kind of are asked to go on a new journey. So the releasing of the inevitable, possibly the way that I'm kind of seeing it, is releasing a sense of fear when it comes to, in the end, everyone dies. That's a given. That's inevitable. So based on that, doing something different, doing something outside of the ordinary, doing something that other people might see as being risky, that's something that, why not? You're living life. So let's take a look. We'll do more clarification with the cards. But let's get the basis for these other areas. You have compassion is something to embrace. So let's get some cards for that. You have the 8 of Swords. You have the Tower. And you have the 4 of Cups. So this compassion card does say, forgiveness will set you free. So here in the 8 of Swords, it's issues of thought, limiting beliefs, so forth, that are restricting the freedom. This compassion card also says, see the light in yourself and others. So in this 4 of Cups card, this individual isn't really seeing the light in themselves or in others. They're not even seeing that cup being offered behind them. They're just kind of looking at what they don't have. And with the Tower, this is definitely a sense of divine intervention coming in and making a transformation, making a change. So it seems there are either you yourself or people around you that are going through some major transformations, feeling not supported, feeling restricted. And so this card is really saying, you know, be gentle with yourself, with others. If you have certain limiting beliefs, just recognize them. Maybe think about changing them, how you could change them. For example, with the Four of Cups, being grateful for the small things, that's a good step. Just, you know, waking up in the morning, having lived another day, beating the inevitable, at least for one more day. And with the Eight of Swords, just kind of recognizing that there is some control that you have. There's some agency that you have. Whether it's deciding what to wear, deciding, you know, when to get a cup of water, and deciding whether or not you want to, you know, walk outside or not that day. There's a sense of agency that you have. So kind of build up slowly, because when you're in a spot of not feeling that things are gonna go your way, it's hard to kind of see that next step. So let's get over to this following your bliss. It's the navigating by the stars. And it's a sense of not having clarity, but having hope. So let's look into that. You have the Five of Cups. So some sense of sadness, some sense of loss. You have the Hanged Man, which is about kind of surrendering, not struggling. So it's different than the Eight of Swords in that the Hangman knows that they're in control and they're allowing themselves to kind of see things from a, like forcing themselves to see things from a different perspective. With the Eight of Swords, it's sometimes not even recognizing that you have that ability to see things in a different perspective. And then you also have the Nine of Swords, which is kind of all about fear and anxiety, which is interesting. That, you know, the fear aspect is what makes this navigating the stars card different from the Moon card. So calls into question, you know, where is the bliss coming from? Especially when you've got this Eight of Swords, Tower, Four of Cups situation, followed by the Five of Cups, Nine of Swords. it seems to come from the Hangman situation. By accepting and allowing things to happen. Recognizing that you can't control things. So I'm going to take this card. Now I'm going to clarify the moon. You have the 6 of discs or 6 of pentacles, and this says generosity at the bottom of the card. 6 of Pentacles is about kind of balancing harmony, balancing really wants and needs, recognizing when something needs attention, needs to be nourished, versus when something has the ability to provide and do the nourishing. So with that and the moon, it's a sense of, you know, the moon brings out fears, but it really has to do with a sense of doubt in yourself, a sense of kind of insecurities. So I would say, in terms of, if you're feeling insecure, ask for help. If someone around you is feeling insecure, see if they need some help. Let's look at the Queen of Wands. You have the 2 of Swords, and it says decisions there. So with the 2 of Swords, it's interesting. That's a minor arcana card that has aspects of the moon in it, and that not making a decision is due to fear and anxiety, and really in those situations, just making the decision is something that will provide some relief, and just go off of logic, reason, what makes the most sense. But, you know, recognize that either choice that's made, it's not going to be the best choice in the world. It's probably not going to be the worst choice in the world. So with the Queen of Wands and the 2 of Swords, it's a sense of, you know, having that courage, stepping into your power, your role as a leader, is just making that decision when you have like kind of fear kind of popping up. So let's look at the Fool. That card is supposed to clarify the Fool. It's actually 2 cards. It's the 6 of Swords and the 4 of Cups. So 6 of Swords is about kind of transitions. That's what it says on the bottom of the card. And it's about being between 2 shores, not really knowing where you're going. You know where you're coming from, and you know that where you're going is going to be smoother sailing ahead, but there's still unknowns that you have to wrap your head around. And with this 4 of Cups, it says meditation. It doesn't say, you know, stinky sourpuss face. But it is the idea of needing to kind of do some healing overall, internal healing. And here, you know, you have the Six of Discs or Six of Pentacles and the Six of Swords. A certain balance and harmony is really kind of what you're trying to get at, and this kind of sense of fear keeps popping up. So for some of you, because of the extent of the fear, anxiety, if there are, you know, issues that you feel like you're not really able to handle well, issues like mental health issues, or even just, you know, you're wondering if it's a mental health issue, talk to a qualified mental health professional. With the Four of Cups, you know, sense of melancholy. Eight of Swords, sense of restriction. Nine of Swords, a sense of just information overload and just stress over things that are outside your control. And with the Tower, it's like a shock to the system. So you've got a lot of things going on, Pisces. And that's why this compassion card, be gentle with yourself, be gentle with others, and recognize you have the, you know, you have the light within you. You can start making changes. You know, 8th house of transformation, sex, death, rebirth. So let's look at this Four of Cups. Let's see what's going on with this Four of Cups over here. You've got the Five of Cups. Again, this says disappointment. So if there is something where you're dealing with a loss of some sort, a loss of job, a loss of a relationship, loss of a friendship, loss of emotional support, loss of a loved one, it seems you're still kind of working through all that. And definitely how you work through it is you look at the situation, what took place, and your feelings at that time, and your feelings at the present, and how you kind of want to feel in terms of, you know, the good aspects. Recognize the lessons you learned from that experience, that individual, and don't live in that area of disappointment and looking behind you. And focus on really kind of the present. And there's that idea that if you're depressed, you're focused on the past. If you're anxious, you're focusing on the future. You want to be in a place of Zen. The Hangman, they're in the place of the present, dealing with actually they're in the place of the past, the present, and the future, because they're trying to prepare for the loss. The Hangman is the 12th card in the major arcana. The death card is the 13th card. So the Hangman is preparing to give up what is no longer serving their best interests. They're preparing for a change and transformation. So here, let's look at the Eight of Swords. You have Three of Wands, and it says vision. Three of Wands is about expanding, networking, connecting with others so that you can grow in your success. You know, the Eight of Swords here with the Three of Wands, it could indicate just getting a support network to help you when you are feeling restricted, feeling like things are outside of your control. So let's take a look at the Tower. I mean, even the Tower, what's going on there, that's dealing with what's going on at that time. There will be later a time for reflecting. You have the High Priestess. And that is kind of, you know, that essence of the moon. The subconscious, dreams, things that are hidden. And it's also about being connected to everything. You know, Pisces, maybe you are just very empathetic. You feel a lot. Maybe you have a lot of secrets, or you feel you have a lot of secrets, or you feel that you have a lot of, yeah, just connections to a lot of things. There's a lot of possibilities in life. And the High Priestess has that inner knowledge of everything. So here with this Tower, it's kind of saying you're going to have to trust your intuition at some point. You know, this sense of control and fear. So definitely the High Priestess is all about grace, beauty. So it's also a sense of recognizing that that's at the core of every individual, including you. So let's go over here. Let's check out this Five of Cups and this navigating by the stars, follow your bliss. Five of Cups. Let's see what's going on. You have the Hierophant. So there's this concept that when you do what you can to try to make things turn out the way you want, when you kind of feel there's nothing more you can do and things aren't going your way, then the Hierophant is kind of an idea of having a sense of faith. The Hierophant does also represent like institutions, religion, an expert of some sort. For some of you, it seems that, like I said, if you have like grief, if you have depression, if there's things going on that you feel like you're stuck in, then definitely see, you know, some type of counselor, some type of qualified professional. But also kind of recognize that there's always going to be unknowns. There's always going to be change. And a good kind of concept in dealing with that is having faith that things will turn out for the best. You know, or faith that there will be another day for you to make adjustments. And the Hierophant is about like that higher sense of knowledge that really with this, when there's instability and kind of chaos, conflict going on, having, you know, some belief system, some faith that will carry you through till you know, at least until you find a way to deal with what you're in. That's really comforting. So I'm going to take a look at the Hangman, because the Hangman is also about like higher knowledge, in the sense that seeing things from a new perspective kind of gets you to look at your own ego, gets you to look at your own, you know, what you fear, and come out with different perspective, higher knowledge. So let's see what we have there. You have the Strength card. Strength card is not only about courage or inner strength, it's about recognizing that there's parts of ourselves that we consider the light parts, parts that we show off to others, that we embrace. And then there's the dark parts that, you know, perhaps make us seem weak or vulnerable, that we maybe hide or disguise from others and even ourselves. The Strength card really does call upon embracing all aspects of ourselves. So to see the light in yourself and others, I'd say it's also to see the darkness as well, and give compassion to that part of yourself, because really all those parts are aspects that at some point in time served our best interests. They might not right now, they might again in the future. You know, the concept of alcohol poisoning, getting sick, and so forth. That's can be annoying for some people, but it also serves the purpose of saving your life to prevent you from, you know, dying from alcohol poisoning. So there's certain, you know, or sense of crying. It's allows us to work through grief. You know, crying through a job interview or crying through a date, you know, that's not necessarily the ideal time for it, but crying does serve a purpose. Now, if your date is to watch a movie that brings about crying and pulls the heartstrings, and that would be weird if you didn't cry in that situation. So kind of recognizing that there are all parts of you have value, and to recognize that and embrace that. Even the parts that, you know, feel stuck sometime or feel ungrateful, there is some purpose it serves at some point in time, and just recognizing that, and saying, you know, thank you for helping out when you're needed. Right now, I'm going to focus on this bliss, on following my bliss. So let's look at the Nine of Swords, about fear and anxiety over here. You have the Ten of Discs, an establishment. So it's a couple of things that I'm feeling with that. It's a sense of this could be something where it's the fear that you have is like hereditary, perhaps something in the, you know, the family line, and also a sense of feeling security in yourself and around those around you. It definitely, the fear and anxiety is almost as if even if you did have that, you would doubt it, and you might be like so wrapped up in the fear aspect that maybe not doubt their existence, but not even recognizing it's there to provide you support. So for here, in terms of transformations, change, it really is going to be a slow process for some of you. Recognizing that it seems some of you are going through some really significant losses and learning really helpful but challenging lessons. For those that don't really have, fear, anxiety plaguing them, and it's more just, stress seems to pop up a lot. Perhaps keep a dream journal. Take a look at the patterns of when the stress kind of pops up for you, and what kind of triggers that, and figure out if there is something that alleviates that. Find those patterns for you. But in the meantime, definitely be gentle with yourself. Show yourself compassion, forgiveness, all that good stuff. I'm hoping this provides a helpful perspective of things to get a clearer picture. Be sure to check out your readings for sun, moon, and rising signs. We'll see you next time. Take care.